What if I told you the real reason you fail with women has nothing to do with looks, money, or confidence? Let's be real, folks. Most men today are playing a game they do not even understand. You try to be nice. You try to be safe. You try to impress women by proving you are polite, respectful, predictable, easy to be around. And on paper, it sounds right. But in real life, you feel it. The dates go nowhere. The messages dry up. The spark dies before it even starts. And deep down, you know something is off, but you cannot name it. You watch younger men act reckless and still get attention. You watch women say they want kindness, but choose the guy who keeps her guessing. You try harder, you give more, you become more available, more understanding, more agreeable. And the more you do it, the less she feels anything for you. It is frustrating. It is confusing. And it makes you question yourself in ways you never say out loud. But here is the truth you have never been told. Attraction is not built through perfection, politeness, or predictability. It is built through tension, through contrast, through a kind of silent power that most men never learn because they are too afraid to look at the darker, more primal layers of male psychology. Today, we are breaking down the real method, the one that flips the dynamic, wakes up her desire, and puts you back in control. Let's get into it. Number 1. The fatal mistake that kills her desire. Let's be real, folks. Almost every man who struggles with women makes the same fatal mistake without even realizing it. And it is not about being too kind, too respectful, or too polite. The real mistake is operating from fear. Fear of losing her, fear of disappointing her, fear of being misunderstood, fear of showing anything that might look imperfect. Younger women pick up on this instantly, and once they feel that fear in you, desire dies quietly before anything begins. Picture this: Michael, 54, divorced, solid career, decent shape. He meets Jenna, 26, at a gym in Colorado Springs. She is friendly, smiles at him often, even asks him about workouts. He feels the spark, but tries to play it safe. When she asks what he likes to do on weekends, he says, "Oh, anything works, whatever you prefer." When she says she likes ambitious men, he nods too quickly. When she mentions boundaries, he instantly apologizes even though he did nothing wrong. From his perspective, he is being respectful. From her perspective, he is terrified of messing up. And that terror sends one message: he needs approval more than he needs his own standards. This is the fatal mistake. Not the words you say, but the energy behind them. When you're scared to disappoint a woman, you stop being a man she can desire. You become someone performing for her attention. Someone managing her reactions. Someone playing not to lose instead of playing to win. She doesn't feel strength. She feels anxiety. And anxiety in a man kills attraction faster than anything else. Younger women want a man who can handle pressure, not one who collapses the moment something feels uncertain. When you avoid tension, avoid disagreement, avoid anything that might rock the boat, you destroy the very chemistry you're hoping to build. Tension is not the enemy. It is the spark. It is the contrast. It is the pulse of attraction. Michael's mistake is the same mistake thousands of men make, being so afraid of losing her that he never lets her meet the real him. A man who hides his edges hides his strength. A man who hides his truth hides his power. And once you hide those things, she stops feeling anything toward you. Women don't lose interest because a man isn't perfect. They lose interest because he is predictable, overly accommodating, and emotionally cautious. She doesn't want a man who bends instantly to her preferences. She wants a man with a spine, a man with a pulse, a man who is willing to stand in who he is, even if there is risk. The fatal mistake is playing the role of a safe option instead of standing as a man with standards. The moment she senses fear guiding your choices, she stops feeling desire and shifts you into the category of emotional support rather than romantic possibility. You don't break this mistake by being rude or cold. You break it by being grounded, by speaking honestly, by not apologizing for existing, by letting your presence fill the space instead of shrinking to make her comfortable. If you have ever caught yourself doing this, comment, "I know this." Stay with me because this is just the beginning. What comes next is going to change the way you think about attraction forever. Most men never learn how deep this mistake goes, and once you understand the real psychology behind her desire, you will never show up the same way again. Number 2, the hidden message your behavior sends without you knowing. Let's be real, folks. Most men think women judge them by what they say, but that is not how attraction works. A woman responds to the message behind your behavior, the signal you send, without realizing you are sending it. You might believe you are being polite, considerate, or emotionally available, but the truth is, many of your automatic habits communicate fear, insecurity, and a desperate need for approval. And once she reads that message, desire collapses. Women are incredibly perceptive when it comes to behavior. They pay attention to timing, tone, hesitation, body language, and emotional patterns. When you text back instantly every single time she reads it, as you having no options. When you over-explain yourself, she reads it as fear of losing her. When you immediately agree with everything she says, she reads it as a lack of backbone. You do not have to say a word. Your actions say everything. A younger woman will never tell you the message you are sending. She will simply react to it. If your behavior communicates that you are hoping to be chosen, she feels pressure instead of attraction. If your behavior communicates that you are walking on eggshells, she feels responsible for your emotions instead of curious about you. And if your behavior communicates that you need her more than you need your own standards, she stops feeling anything romantic at all. One of the clearest examples is overgiving. You think you are being generous. She reads it as anxiety. You think you are being thoughtful. She reads it as trying too hard. You think you are showing interest. She reads it as dependence. Women are wired to feel the difference between confidence and neediness, even when the actions look identical on the surface. There is a Stoic principle from Epictetus that fits perfectly here. He said, "Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but wish for events to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly." When you accept what is in your control and what is not, you move from need to presence. You stop trying to manipulate the moment. You stop chasing outcomes. You start acting like a man who has options, standards, and self-respect. And younger women feel that shift instantly. The hidden message behind your behavior is always about your relationship with yourself. If you fear rejection, she feels it. If you fear losing her, she senses it. If you fear conflict, she experiences it as instability. But when you move with calm intention, when you are comfortable with silence, when you do not rush to fix or impress, the message becomes completely different. It becomes confidence. It becomes strength. It becomes grounded masculine energy. The truth is simple. A woman responds to the meaning of your behavior more than the behavior itself. You cannot fake this. You cannot script it. You cannot pretend your way through it. You have to build yourself into a man whose actions come from clarity, not insecurity. A man who chooses how he moves instead of reacting out of fear. That is what makes her lean in without you forcing anything. If you have ever seen yourself sending the wrong message, comment, "I have felt this." Stay tuned because what comes next reveals the real power dynamic she feels but never admits. Number 3, the power dynamic she feels but never says out loud. Let's be real, folks. Attraction is never equal in the way most men think it is. A younger woman always feels a power dynamic in the early stages, whether she admits it or not. And that dynamic has nothing to do with money, looks, or status. It comes from the energy you bring into the interaction, the way you respond, the way you move, the way you hold yourself. She feels it long before she understands it. And if you get this wrong, you kill the spark before it even has the chance to grow. Picture this. Daniel, 58, successful but calm about it, meets Brooke, 27, at a friend's weekend bonfire in Santa Barbara. The moment she talks to him, she feels a difference. Younger guys usually fold into her energy. They lean in too fast, laugh too eagerly, mirror her personality, because they hope it will make her like them more. But Daniel stands on his own frequency. He is warm, but he is not chasing. He is attentive, but not impressed. His presence is steady, almost grounded in a way she can feel in her chest. And that creates the dynamic instantly. She senses he is the one she is reacting to, not the other way around. Here is what most men miss. Women do not fall for the man who gives up power. They fall for the man who can hold it without forcing it. When you let her lead emotionally, let her set the pace, let her take control of the vibe, because you are afraid to lose her, you collapse the polarity. And polarity is the oxygen of desire. When you bring masculine presence and she feels her own energy soften in response, the attraction becomes real, not theoretical, real. Men lose the dynamic when they signal nervous anticipation, over-texting, over-pursuing, over-explaining, over-sharing. You think you are building connection, but what you are actually doing is handing her all your power and hoping she gives it back. She never does, because once she feels you need reassurance, she stops seeing you as the man who pulls her in. Daniel never does any of that. He does not rush to prove his value. He does not fill silence with nervous talking. He does not contort himself to match her vibe. He lets the moment breathe. And because he is not trying to impress her, she becomes more aware of him. She studies his reactions. She watches his body language. She pays attention to the little things he does. That shift is the power dynamic. When she starts reacting to you, instead of you reacting to her, the polarity flips. Women do not say this out loud. They do not articulate it, but they feel it instantly. The man who leads emotionally becomes the center of gravity. The man who waits for instructions becomes disposable. Attraction grows behind the scenes in her subconscious, in the way her nervous system responds to your steadiness. And when a younger woman feels that steady masculine pull, her guard lowers. Her feminine energy rises. She becomes more open, more responsive, more curious. The power dynamic is not about dominance. It is about presence. When you hold your own frame, she naturally moves into hers. If you have ever noticed this shift, comment, "I've seen this." Stick with me because the next part exposes the silent game of seduction you keep losing without realizing it. Number 4. The silent game of seduction you keep losing. Let's be real, folks. Seduction is not loud. It is not dramatic. It is not built through long paragraphs, heavy compliments, or trying to impress a woman with effort she never asked for. The real game is silent. It happens in the pauses, in the gaps, in the spacing between your words and actions. Most men lose this game because they fill every empty moment with nervous energy. They chase. They over-explain. They respond instantly. They give too much too soon. And every time they do, they reveal the very weakness women are subconsciously testing for. Seduction is not a performance. It is a rhythm, a pacing, a deliberate slowness. Younger women pick up on the timing long before they think about the meaning. When you respond instantly, she feels you are waiting. When you show too much excitement, she senses you are emotionally unguarded. When you try to keep the conversation alive instead of letting it breathe, she feels you are afraid of the silence. And silence is where real masculine power lives. Here is the truth: women do not fall for men who chase. They fall for the man who controls the tempo. The space you allow creates tension. The space you hold creates attraction. The space you do not fill creates curiosity. But when you rush to close the space, you kill the mystery, you kill the polarity, and you kill the spark she needs to feel before anything meaningful can begin. This is where most men fail. They think seduction is about doing more. It is not. It is about doing less with more intention, saying less with more weight, showing up less but with more presence. When you understand this, your whole dynamic with women changes overnight. There is a Stoic principle that fits this perfectly. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The closer a man is to calm, the closer he is to strength. Calm is not silence. Calm is control. And control is the heart of seduction. When you respond with calm, you shape the entire interaction. When you move with calm, you signal internal stability. When you speak calmly, you make her lean in instead of pull away. The silent game is all about emotional gravity. You are either the man she revolves around or the man revolving around her. If you are too available, too eager, too reactive, you become the follower in the dynamic. You give up the frame. You hand her the tension instead of letting her feel pulled into yours. Women feel attraction in the moments when they cannot fully read you, in the moments when you are not rushing, in the moments when you are not filling every gap with attention. The more she wonders what you are thinking, the more she thinks about you. The more she feels your steadiness, the more her femininity reacts. The more space you hold, the more she notices the way you make her feel. Most men lose because they cannot tolerate uncertainty. They try to force clarity too soon. But seduction is built in uncertainty. It is built in patience. It is built in the discipline to not reveal everything at once. The silent game is the art of letting her feel the pull without needing to explain it. If you understand this game, comment, "I know this." And my friend, if you want deeper training, private lessons weekly, breakdowns, and tools to master this dynamic, consider becoming a channel member. You will get the guidance most men never receive, and it will change how you show up in every relationship. Number 5. The emotional scarcity that makes you irresistible. Let's be real, folks. Women are not attracted to men who make their emotions too easy to access. When your approval is automatic, when your attention is overflowing, when your desire is announced instead of felt, you remove the very thing that creates tension. Emotional scarcity is not about playing games or being cold for no reason. It is about the simple truth that what is limited becomes valuable and what is abundant becomes invisible. Younger women react to emotional scarcity on a deep level. They do not consciously think about it. They feel it. When your emotional world does not open instantly, when your reactions are not predictable, when your attention is not guaranteed, she experiences curiosity. And curiosity is the first stage of desire. Picture this. Robert, 57, recently retired from the Navy, meets Lily, 25, at a hiking group in San Diego. She is used to guys her age who pour out affection within the first few conversations. Constant texting, constant compliments, constant emotional exposure. But Robert moves differently. When she teases him, he smiles calmly instead of performing. When she asks personal questions, he shares enough to stay human, but not enough to feel exposed. When she playfully pushes for more attention, he does not jump. He responds with patience, not hunger. Lily feels the difference instantly. She cannot read him the way she reads younger men. She cannot predict his emotions. She cannot tell whether he is fully invested or simply enjoying the moment. And instead of feeling frustrated, she feels pulled in. His emotional scarcity creates exactly the tension her biology responds to the desire to understand him, to earn his attention, to access the deeper layers he reveals slowly. This is where most men fail. They think giving more will speed up attraction. But giving more only speeds up boredom. Emotional scarcity communicates strength. It communicates that your inner world is something a woman must earn access to, not something you hand out, like a participation trophy. A man who guards his emotional energy signals maturity, experience, and self-worth. And those signals trigger her attraction more than any compliment ever could. What younger women feel around emotionally scarce men is a subtle loss of control. Not in a manipulative way, but in a biological way. When she cannot fully predict you, she starts thinking about you. When she cannot fully reach you, she starts imagining you. When she cannot automatically claim your emotional attention, she becomes more invested in the connection itself. Robert never withholds affection out of ego. His emotional scarcity works because it is natural. His life is full. His identity is grounded. His attention is not scattered, but it is not unlimited either. Lily feels that she is stepping into the space of a man who does not need emotional validation, that self-sufficiency is what makes him irresistible. If you have ever tried too hard emotionally, comment "I want this." Let's keep going because the next part reveals the controlled coldness that pulls her closer instead of pushing her away. Number 6. The controlled coldness that pulls her closer. Let's be real, folks. Most men hear the word coldness and instantly think it means being rude, distant, or emotionally unavailable. That is not what we are talking about. Controlled coldness is something completely different. It is the ability to stay centered, composed, and unaffected when a woman tests you, pulls back, or tries to shake your confidence. Younger women feel this kind of calm like a shock to the system because they are used to men who crumble the second the vibe changes. Controlled coldness is the refusal to chase validation. It is the ability to hold your ground without trying to fix every emotional ripple. When she becomes distant, you do not panic. When she slows down the conversation, you do not speed up to compensate. When she sends mixed signals, you do not react like a man who is afraid of losing her. This calm detachment is what makes her lean in, not because you are withholding affection, but because you are proving you cannot be emotionally controlled. Younger women respond to this on a deep instinctive level. They feel the difference between a man who is cold because he is insecure and a man who is controlled because he is stable. Controlled coldness communicates that your world does not collapse based on her reactions. It shows emotional independence, and emotional independence is the core of masculine power. There is a Stoic principle from Marcus Aurelius that captures this perfectly. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Real coldness is not about freezing out the world. It is about refusing to let the world dictate your emotional state. When a woman feels that strength in you, she becomes more drawn to you because she senses the one thing younger men rarely have: emotional discipline. This does not mean ignoring her. It means you do not operate from need. You do not rush to fill silence. You do not volunteer reassurance she has not earned. You do not over-explain your decisions. And most importantly, you do not shift your entire behavior just because she shifts hers. The more she realizes she cannot shake your center, the more she wants access to it. Here is the part most men completely misunderstand. Controlled coldness creates intimacy, not distance. It builds the tension she needs to feel chemistry. She becomes more curious about you, more invested in understanding you, more aware of your presence. Women feel attraction when they sense a man who is generous with his attention, but disciplined with his emotions. Someone warm, but not weak. Someone engaged, but not dependent. Someone who chooses her, but does not need her. Controlled coldness is also a filter. It exposes who she really is. If she is playing childish games, she will quickly lose interest when you do not react. But if she is a woman who desires strength, she will rise to match your energy. She will soften, open up, and show a more authentic version of herself because you set the emotional tone. This is the difference between a man who controls the dynamic and a man who chases it. When you stay centered, she feels pulled toward you without understanding why. If you have ever lost control of the dynamic, comment, "I've been there." Number 7. The dark polarity that sparks her attraction. Let's be real, folks. Every younger woman is drawn to a certain edge in a man. Not danger, not chaos, not aggression. What pulls her in is polarity. The contrast between your calm surface and the deeper, more powerful layers underneath. She may never admit it out loud, but that darker masculine energy is exactly what wakes up her attraction. And most older men hide it because they think showing anything bold or intense will make them look inappropriate. But suppressing that edge is exactly why you feel invisible. Picture this, Mark 59. A real estate investor from Austin meets Tessa, 26, at a rooftop birthday party. She has met plenty of polite older men, plenty of friendly ones, plenty of safe ones. But Mark is different. He is respectful, but he does not soften himself. When she teases him, he gives a slow smile instead of laughing too hard. When she asks a flirty question, he answers with confidence instead of nervous innocence. When she pushes to see if he will fold, he holds eye contact just long enough to make her feel it in her stomach. That is dark polarity. Controlled, grounded, present, never desperate. Younger women respond to this energy because it activates something inside them. They feel the difference between a man who hides his masculine power and a man who owns it without apologizing. Most younger guys either act too aggressive or too passive, but an older man who understands polarity hits a perfect middle ground. He is not trying to impress her. He is not trying to dominate her. He simply exists with an unspoken strength she cannot ignore. Dark polarity is not about playing the bad boy. It is about showing the depth most men bury. The part of you that is direct, decisive, unafraid to disagree, confident in silence, comfortable with tension. The part of you that does not hide attraction, but expresses it with presence instead of neediness. Women feel that difference immediately. It creates a quiet magnetism. Tessa feels it in Mark the moment he steps into the conversation. He is not loud, but she notices him. He is not trying, but she reacts. She becomes more aware of her body language, more aware of his tone, more aware of the space between them. That tension is what sparks her attraction. Not the surface-level charm, but the polarity underneath. The reason dark polarity works is simple. It signals self-possession. It signals a man who does not fear his own desires. And when a woman senses that she feels safe surrendering into her feminine energy, she softens. She becomes playful. She becomes curious. She becomes more open without understanding why. Dark polarity is the antidote to the nice guy energy that kills attraction. Nice guys hide everything raw and powerful inside them. They try to be palatable, predictable, non-threatening. But a man who embraces his darker edge becomes interesting, desired, memorable, because she can feel that he is not performing for approval. If you have ever felt this shift, comment, "I've felt that." Stick with me because the next part reveals the masculine tension she cannot resist even when she tries to hide it. Number 8. The masculine tension she can't resist. Let's be real, folks. Most men misunderstand tension. They think tension is conflict, drama, or emotional games, but the tension we are talking about is completely different. It is the quiet charge a woman feels when she is in the presence of a man who knows who he is, what he wants, and does not rush to prove anything. Masculine tension is not about pressure. It is about presence. And younger women react to it instantly long before they understand why. Masculine tension is created when you are fully grounded in your body and your decisions. It shows up in the way you pause before speaking, the way you listen without trying to impress, the way you hold eye contact without flinching, the way you express interest without turning into a performer. Younger women are surrounded by men who are loud, chaotic, and eager. But masculine tension feels steady, slow, intentional, and that contrast makes it irresistible. Most men destroy attraction because they cannot tolerate tension. They talk too much. They give too much. They reveal too much. They try to rush the moment because silence makes them uncomfortable. But silence is where masculine tension comes alive. When you allow a beat to sit between you and her, you create space she can feel in her body. It pulls her in because she becomes aware of you, aware of herself, and aware of the chemistry forming between you. This is why Stoicism matters here. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." Masculine tension is the embodiment of that truth. It means you move as a man who already knows his value. You do not seek reassurance. You do not need constant affirmation. You are not waiting for her reaction to decide who you are. The more certain you are internally, the more tension she feels externally. Masculine tension is also created through discipline. When you choose your words instead of rambling. When you choose your actions instead of reacting impulsively. When you keep your emotions steady instead of letting them jump all over the place. Younger women are highly sensitive to emotional inconsistency. But when you stay centered, they feel safe enough to relax. This safety does not come from softness. It comes from strength. A strength that says, "I do not break under pressure." And here is the part most men do not realize. Masculine tension is not only felt in romance, it is felt in every area of your life. The way you walk into a room, the way you handle small inconveniences, the way you speak to someone who challenges you, the way you respond when things do not go your way. A younger woman studies these micro moments. They tell her whether you are a man who stands firm or a man who collapses under stress. Masculine tension works because it makes her feel polarized. Her feminine energy rises naturally around a man who knows how to carry himself. She becomes more expressive, more playful, more receptive. She leans in without thinking. She mirrors your calm without realizing. She feels the chemistry before she can explain it. But when you try to force the moment or chase reassurance, all tension disappears. You become predictable. You become soft in the wrong ways. You become forgettable. If you want to know whether you have ever created this kind of tension, comment, "I've seen this." Stay with me because the next part reveals the identity shift that transforms you from the pursuer into the man she pursues. Number 9. The identity shift that turns you into the pursued. Let's be real, folks. Most men spend their entire lives trying to be chosen, trying to qualify, trying to present themselves as the safe, reliable, agreeable option. And the more they do it, the more invisible they become. Attraction does not rise from being the man who waits. Attraction rises from being the man she must respond to. The identity shift we are talking about is the shift from applicant to chooser, from chaser to magnet, from the man who hopes to the man who decides. Younger women feel this shift instantly, and it changes the entire dynamic. Picture this. Brandon, 56 software architect, divorced 5 years, meets Kayla, 24, at a weekend cooking class in Portland. At first, he does what most men his age do. He asks polite questions. He nods too much. He tries to be overly considerate. And Kayla is friendly but not drawn in. She feels the usual dynamic, a man hoping for her attention. But something changes midway through the course. Brandon stops over-engaging. He starts giving shorter, more intentional responses. He stops trying to impress and instead becomes fully present in what he is doing. His tone becomes calmer. His posture becomes grounded. He begins acting like a man who has a full life, not a man who needs validation from her. And Kayla feels it immediately. She leans a little closer. She asks about his weekend plans instead of politely answering questions. She watches the way he moves instead of waiting for him to react to her. Her energy shifts because his identity shifts. When he stops being the man who needs something from her, he becomes the man she pays attention to. This is the heart of the identity transformation. You stop trying to win her approval. You stop shaping yourself based on what you think she wants. You stop treating her as the reward and start treating yourself as the prize. The moment you internalize that, everything about your presence changes. You walk differently. You talk differently. You hold yourself differently. And women feel it in seconds. You do not become arrogant. You become sovereign. You stop seeking. You select. You stop being impressed by youthful energy and start valuing how a woman fits into your world. That shift is magnetic because it creates polarity. A woman feels drawn to a man who chooses deliberately instead of desperately. Kayla feels this polarity in Brandon. She suddenly finds herself trying to read him, trying to understand him, trying to get a reaction from him. Not because he is cold, but because he is centered. He is not trying to enter her world. He is inviting her into his. Older men who master this shift do not chase connection. They create the conditions where connection flows toward them. Identity is the most powerful seduction tool because it cannot be faked. When you become the man who does not need to be pursued, you naturally become the man who is pursued. You radiate direction. You radiate calm. You radiate self-sufficiency. And these qualities wake up a woman's curiosity, her desire and her instinct to move toward you rather than away from you. If you have ever felt yourself shifting into this identity, comment, "I want this." Stay tuned, because the final part reveals the Stoic strategy that brings every piece of this together. Number 10. The Stoic strategy that makes her chase you. Let's be real, folks. Most men misunderstand Stoicism. They think it means being emotionless, detached, or cold. But real Stoicism is not about shutting down your feelings. It is about mastering them. It is the discipline of choosing how you respond instead of letting impulse, fear, or insecurity drive the moment. And when a younger woman encounters a man who actually lives by this mindset, she feels something she rarely experiences with men her age, a steady, grounded, masculine presence that she wants to be closer to. The Stoic strategy that makes her chase you starts with emotional self-control, not suppressing emotion, but directing it. Younger women constantly deal with men who react too fast, too intensely, or too dramatically. Men who want answers immediately. Men who want validation constantly. Men who allow their emotional temperature to jump every time she shifts her tone or slows her responses. But a Stoic man remains centered. He pauses. He considers. He chooses the response that reflects his standards, not his insecurity. and that calm authority is what pulls her toward him. This strategy also requires you to stop attaching your self-worth to her attention. When you are not shaken by her silence, not rattled by uncertainty, not desperate for reassurance, you signal something rare emotional independence. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That is the core of this entire dynamic. When she realizes her reactions do not control your behavior, she becomes more invested in how you think, how you feel, and what you choose. Another important part of the Stoic strategy is selective vulnerability. You do not overshare. You do not empty your emotional world onto a woman you barely know. You reveal yourself slowly, intentionally, and only when it aligns with your values. Younger women find this deeply attractive because it creates depth without chaos. They sense there is more beneath the surface, and that sense of depth pulls them in. Stoicism also shapes how you handle tension. Instead of diffusing it too quickly, you hold it with confidence. You let silence sit. You let her wonder what you are thinking. You let the moment breathe without trying to fill it out of nervousness. Modern men collapse under silence, but a Stoic man understands that silence is a tool. It amplifies your presence. It creates contrast. It makes your words hit harder because you do not waste them. Then we have the importance of non-attachment. Not detachment, but non-attachment. You want her, but you do not need her. You enjoy her, but you do not depend on her. You show interest, but you do not abandon your center. When you can genuinely walk away from anything that does not align with your standards, she feels that strength immediately. And strength in the Stoic sense creates gravity. She starts adjusting to your pace instead of you adjusting to hers. Finally, the Stoic strategy makes you the man she chases because it turns you into a rare combination. Calm but powerful, warm but disciplined, open but not fragile. Younger women want to feel pulled in by a man who stands firm in his identity. Not because he is trying to be impressive, but because he refuses to betray who he is. If any part of this feels like the man you want to become, comment, "I choose this." Folks, today we broke down the 10 psychological forces that actually drive female attraction. Not fantasies, not wishful thinking, but the real dynamics younger women respond to. If you understand these principles and apply them with discipline, you stop chasing and start becoming the man women naturally move toward. If you want deeper training, private lessons, and weekly guidance built only for men who want to grow fast, consider becoming a channel member. It is the next step in your transformation. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss tomorrow's video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.